So, as usual, I'm always on Twitter. And I read today something that kind of disturbed me. This black woman called Saffron Grace said she went to Budapest and she was there for 36 hours. And then she was the target of a racially aggravated assault. I keep telling people that when we black women go to other countries where there's not a lot of black people, it does put us in a situation where we can get targeted. It's not to say that we should not be visiting these countries, because sometimes you want to learn about different cultures and such and such. However, we always have to be on guard as black women, because to tell you the truth, sometimes you go to these countries, they may not have interacted with a lot of black people. So especially when they see black women, we instantly become a target. And it's like, at this point, it's why, maybe I shouldn't, but it's why I typically tend to go to countries where there is a high black population. Because, living here in the UK, where, we are in the minority here in the UK, I prefer to go to countries where there's a high black population, because I don't have that same experience over there. So she had to say, I spent 36 hours in Budapest before I was racially assaulted on a busy street in the middle of the afternoon. Fearing for my safety, my friends and I booked a flight home that evening. My experience in Budapest was one of the most unsettling experiences of my life. For the whole day I was stared at, men shouting at me from their cars, and eventually I was physically assaulted. The man then went on to assault an Asian man who was walking behind me. These acts of violence do not seem unordinary to onlookers. Overt and egregious acts of racism are occurring every day. It is a prominent feature of human society, and people of colour are constantly and unjustly burdened with the responsibility of coping with these oppressive experiences. I am not the most privileged and I am not the most oppressed, but silence will not help. This should never be normalised or accepted. It should never be overlooked or taken lightly. And she also includes a picture, which I shall include as well, of the bruise on her leg. And this bruise on her leg is fucking huge. Like, it's not no small thing. And I completely agree with what she's saying. Like, some of these countries, because they're so white dominant, they feel that anytime a person of colour, even though I hate that term, but just for argument's sake, a person of colour comes into these countries, that somehow they feel that they should target on us. They should attack us. Not just stare, but like literally attack you. And I remember reading this and someone quote tweeted it and said, oh, that's why black women should stay away from these kind of countries. And no, she replied back, no, because why should she have to? Why should she not be able to visit these countries? And I agree with her, like, why should she have to not go to these countries in order for them to get it to, we just want to go to this country, visit, learn about this culture. We shouldn't have to be touched. We should not have to be attacked. Like, okay, you're deeply racist, but I'm going to come here anyway. And I'm going to experience this different place because it's new to me. And what gives you the right to put your hands on me? And even the Asian man who was behind her got attacked as well. It's just like, clearly anybody who is of a different hue is seen as problematic, and they feel the need to go and attack. Saying this over and over and over again to some of you get it for your thick skulls, that when we black women say we don't feel protected, this is another incident of what I'm saying. Now, fair enough, there was no black men around to protect her. However, why do these white men feel the need to put their hands on her for no reason? And her friends who were there with her as well also felt targeted. So it wasn't just like an isolated incident. Literally every single one of them may not have got physically assaulted, but every single one of them felt deeply uncomfortable and deeply unsettled. They were literally telling them, we don't want you here. even though we have the right to go to technically every single country in the world, they literally said, we do not want you here. And they physically forced her to leave, basically, because they felt so scared. They booked a flight home the same. Anyone's experience where you feel so threatened, you feel your life is so in danger that you have to leave the country where you actually, you know, booked some, you know, paid some money. You know, you went to this country to learn something new or just to have a good time with your friends, and then they basically, you know, force you to go back home. And at this point, it's just really ridiculous. We should not have to still be experiencing this. I'm not going to say, oh, because it's 2019. However, it's just further proof of how, despite all these laws in place to protect black people, those laws don't exist in certain countries where the majority of the people are white. As in, there's a very, very small population of black people. Or, you know, in actually some countries in Europe, there's no black people there at all. Or there's at least no evidence of them there. So when you go to visit these countries, you are also possibly going to be in danger in these countries as well. About it, like the way she was describing it, those white men who were staring at her, they're basically treating her like she's some sort of zoo animal. Like staring at her friends, and then they attacked her. They was like staring at her like the audacity of her being in our country. How dare she come to Budapest with her black self, and then they go and physically attack her. I mean, it's deplorable what happened to her. So, you know, as usual, I'm here to say I support Saffron Grace 100%. And I know some people are going to say, oh, she was probably lying, like, blah, oh, fuck you, man. Seriously. Like, it's really not the time for you to start your bullshit. Because you always do this on my videos, or someone's always lying about being racially abused. Like, why on earth would we lie? What possible reason would we have to lie when these things happen every single day without fail? But yes, we always lie, aren't we? We always lie because you don't want to admit the truth that black people are actually in danger. But anyway, stay blessed and stay black.